Live at 5 is all about traveling when you have any physical challenge, including Bell's palsy. One of the reasons my background is different and I'm talking about this topic is I'm traveling right now. And what I have learned over the many years I've dealt with traveling when you're not your absolute best is there are great tips and tricks that can really make it lighter and easier for you, and lots of great tools, technology, things that you can grab. So I realized when I first had Bell's palsy, I had to adjust a lot more. The longer you have it, just like the longer you have any physical change in your ability, the kind of easier it gets. So I want to let you know that it's lighter at the other end of this tunnel. But let's say you just have a boot on your foot or you've broken your arm. Any physical limitation will require you to make some adjustments when you travel. So here are 10 great tips. The first one is to plan ahead. You need to research a little bit. If you're going to be needing crutches or a wheelchair and you're flying, you want to check what the rules are about that. Let's say that you know you're going to be needing to rest more regularly. You want to adjust your schedule and let everyone know that you're traveling with, that you're going to need that as well. But just plan ahead and don't act like you don't have a limitation. Just accept it and add it as one of the variables. Next is to pack essential supplies. In the case of Bell's palsy, it would be really important to me to have my wave watch, my eye drops, gel, an eye patch, sunscreen, a hat, all the things that make me comfortable. I sleep on a silk pillowcase, and all of that can fit into a very tiny kit. But whatever it is that you're going to need as you travel, make sure that that's a priority. Honestly, if it's possible, I recommend you do two of everything because one is none and two is one. While we're traveling, sometimes we can get out of sorts. The last thing you want is to only have one eye drop when you may need eye drops all day long. And that's kind of a unique thing to want to purchase along your travel. The next thing is to make sure you've got medication and documentation. I always make sure that I have a backup prescription or I'm somewhere where I know my doctor can support me in that. One of the things that I was taking when I was initially diagnosed were steroids. And it's really critical that you take those in a specific number, right? You can't just take 11 one day and 7 one day and none the next day. It's not good for you. So just be critically strategic about that. That's going to be one of the more important notes you want to hit. Let's say you have muscle relaxers because your arm is broken, your shoulder's in a sling. Make sure you have those with you. Or pain medications if you've got a broken bone of some sort. Next is going to be communication tools, especially if facial paralysis is part of your medical diagnosis. Sometimes communication can be super tricky. You want to have something to write on and with, or a translator on your iPhone. You don't want to stumble over things, especially if you're in a foreign country. You may think, how come they can't understand me? But it can be difficult to understand someone trying to communicate with facial paralysis. It's okay to admit that, right? Especially when I was first diagnosed, it was something I worked on incredibly focused because communication is a big part of what I do every day. But it took me time to even be as clear as I am now. And let it be okay if you need to text somebody, write it down, or use a translator. Next is going to be travel insurance. If this is going to be a bucket list kind of trip, a once in a lifetime trip, I want you to consider travel insurance in case your limitation or current injury makes it feel like at the last minute you don't want to take that trip for medical reasons. Make sure it's travel insurance that will cover the reason that you might be canceling as well. Next is to be mindful of the sun. There is some indication that sun or wind can exacerbate Bell's palsy. So you want to be sure that whatever activity you're doing, it's going to be something that doesn't mess with your limitation. Let's say that what you're thinking about is your foot is in a boot and you really want to go up to the Arc de Triomphe in Paris. That's a lot of steps. That's a lot of steps. So you're going to need special accommodations, right? You can probably still do everything that you want to do, but just know that you need to be mindful of the terrain, of the sun, of any specific challenges to your type of travel. Next is going to be to stay hydrated. When we get dehydrated, all of our physical limitations get worse, especially something like facial paralysis. And when we're traveling, we can lose track of that. I recommend having a very specific container that you take, even if you have to take it empty into the airport, and that you know you need to drink it so many times in a given day. You know I'm addicted to my Stanley, so I would work to try to take that with me. Next is going to be to take breaks. It's okay to say, look, I can't drive or fly or be a part of a trip for 10 hours with no break. I need a slower pace. That was something that really hit me hard when I was first diagnosed. I didn't want to change my schedule or my lifestyle in any way. The second time I was diagnosed, I felt like I had a little more experience under my belt, and I immediately worked to be sure I could be protected and have downtime and the proper rest that I needed. That's going to be something critical to just schedule in like any activity. And then seek support. Let everybody around you know that you're traveling with it. That's going to be something, the restaurants that you pick might need to be different. Pizza's not so fun, right? So let everybody know, like, this is one of my limitations. Yeah, let's go to the pizza place as long as they have something else on the menu or something you can cut into small pieces, however it may be working for you. And last but not least is to practice self-care. It's really significant that you take your time getting ready, going to bed, getting the good rest that you need, hydrating, eating good food. Because when we start letting go of those core habits, when we're already at a deficit, that's when we become vulnerable. I'm going to be really serious here. That is when we can relapse. That is when we can trip because we're so tired and fall and hurt ourselves in a worse way, right? When you're already at a physical deficit, self-care becomes strategic. It's how you can stay on vacation or be traveling if it's for work. Let's face it, not all travel is relaxing. Mine just happens to be right now. But I'm still mindful that I stay on top of my supplements, that I stay on top of my food. Here's a hack. If you're anywhere near a macaroni grill, the first night we get anywhere, our new tradition is to order a family size meal and just eat on it a few nights in a row. So we have a warm, healthy, delicious kind of homemade vibe with none of the dishes and none of the effort. And it's right at our fingertips to reheat as we need to in our condo. So think of the strategic ways that you might be able to clear a path for yourself that would make your travel more enjoyable, that would make it better for other people around you to understand what's going on. And I've actually listed my 3 top products for when I had Bell's palsy. It's going to be my eye drops, my silk eye patches, because not all eye patches are created equal. And these were much more gentle on my skin. And then the best lip balm, because your lips are going to need kind of constant attention. I hope this has been helpful. I'm so happy to see you here. I'm grateful for you being here, and I look forward to seeing you here tomorrow live around 5. Take care, everybody.